Mad Producer's back on the scene, and off a layoff, I'm respectfully going to request you give us your very best how for what transpired last night.
Ahem.
Yeah.
Defense!
Defense! Defense! Hey! 2 in a row for Fincho. 2 in a row for Fincho. 2 in a row for Fincho! Holy cow.
So good last night.
The Minnesota Timberwolves won one of the strangest games many have seen in the history of the NBA. Welcome to 9 to Noon. Who went to sleep or left the arena when KD and his super special Rockets opened a 13-point lead in overtime, and they did so in lickety-split fashion? So Finchie calls a timeout and preaches, focus over frustration, men. Focus over frustration. So what happens next? A 15-0 run to close the game and hung just the dirtiest loss on the Houston Rockets, who were inches from owning the Western Conference tiebreaker against our beloved Hal, and a 2-0 season series lead over our beloved Timberwolves. Covenant clap for what happened in Minneapolis last night. Wow, holy cow. Here's some historical context to what transpired last night. And welcome to 9 to Noon. Great to have Nordo back on the scene. And it's your buddy Paul Allen. Now, teams were 0-180. 0-180. When down 10 points or more in overtime the last 30 years. KD, it's 1-180 now. Hey! Hey! Damn! The Vox, Alan Horton at Wolves Radio via X. And I can't believe this just happened. Minnesota led by 11 with 3.5 minutes to go. Houston then went on a 13-2 run to force overtime. Houston started overtime on a 13-0 run. Minnesota then went 15-0 with that run to win it. Incredible. Hey! Hey! 2 in a row for Fincho. So, but by Finchie faith, I mean, they were having none of it last night with those Houston Rocket runs. By the way, in the game, Anthony Edwards missed his 5th in a row. Jaden McDaniels continued to look the part offensively. My man had 25, and he was part of putting HOF Kevin Durant on one of his worst shooting games of the season. But then KD got hot, and KD's HOF. And then Jaden McDaniels had to leave the game with cramps, and he didn't come back. And then in the fourth quarter, he gets hurt, KD takes off. Spark plug Ayo Dosunmu was a day of scratch with a sore calf. And old Naz Reid lost his cool early in OT on a bad call by Scott Foster, by the way. That's a referee, Scott Foster. And Naz Reid got thrown out early in overtime. Oh, yeah. Stifle Tower had 1 million block shots in the game, and he was changing the game, and he fouled out in regulation.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we're getting killed with just a few minutes to go. KD was an unstoppable force, and even the most dedicated fans, maybe this side of King of the Rubes, Jimmy Knutson, they were heading right for the doors because it was sneaking up on midnight, and Rubes got things to do the next day. Well, those dedicated fans, they may have been trying to pick locks to get back into Target Center when they heard the roar of the comeback and Finchie preaching focus, not frustration. Mike Conley, who knew? Nails a 3 with 2:45 to go in OT. Old school, best school, leaving it all on the line out there for the Howl. Slow-mo, Kyle Anderson, slow-mo, tips in a Julius Randle miss and gets fouled for the 3-point play. Way to go, slow-mo. After that, our Hal forced an 8-second violation because the defense was so tenacious, the Rockets couldn't get it past half court. It reminded me of the time Nordo was courtside and he watched Josh Okogie put James Harden on a compensated anxiety attack because he couldn't get it by midcourt. I mean, they couldn't get it by midcourt. Overtime. History. Forced an 8-second violation because the defense was so tenacious that the Rockets were like, damn, we need a true point guard. We needed a true point guard at that moment. And I was like, if you think Freddie Van Vliet, Vernon Maxwell, or Sam Cassell are going to come join that covenant, you are sadly mistaken.
I always love that one.
There were members of the 85 Bears watching that defense and smiling from afar. So then slow-mo hits DiVincenzo with an awesome pass for the layup, and fans who left, now they're banging on the door. Let me in! Come on! I can hear the roar of the howl! They're banging on the doors outside the arena to get back in and be part of history. Minute and a half to go. Julius catches fire and makes a layup while blowing by the great Şengün. So from 15 down, make that 13 down in OT to 3. 13 down in overtime to just 3. And these Rockets, they're having a compensated anxiety attack, and we could see it. They just want to leave the premises and get to the comfy plane for the Boo-Ray game. They're thinking about the Boo-Ray game. Heads were spinning. Finchy was calling all the right plays, and frustration indeed was all focus and ferocity. Anthony Edwards was jumping so high on the bench while injured during that comeback, I became concerned he was going to hurt his knee or his toe.
I always love that one.
Instead, the only thing being broken were the hearts of the Houston Rockets. Dante with a cold-blooded 3. Now we're tied. Who knew? It's crazy. Let me in. Then Julius drains a little pull-up shot, and we have the lead in historic fashion with 8.8 seconds to go. Are you kidding me with all this? But this is Minnesota sports. This is Minnesota sports, ladies and gentlemen. This is the masochistic covenant.
It is.
I always love that one.
So, of course, it all just has to be mind-blowing and difficult and tenuous, right? We're on the right side of history, boys. Then Julius fouls Durant with 3 seconds left in overtime. And the Rockets, up to that point, they were just 23 for 23 at the foul line.
Oh my gosh.
So Durantula walks up to the line and he eyeballs the rim. Jimmy K, holding up his howl sign, has his Wolves foam finger, king of the rubes, trying to get Durantula off his game. HOF staring at the rim.
He's got his hat with wolf ears on it.
Durantula misses the free throw. Hey! Are you kidding me? No way. They were 23 of 23 from the line, and he missed. KD purposely missed the next one. The bounce didn't go the way of the Rockets, and history was intact. It's the greatest overtime comeback in at least the last 30 years of the NBA.
Yeah.
It's 2 in a row for Fincho. 2 in a row for Fincho. So awesome, so wonderful, so improbable. Now, the head coach joined yesterday. Chris Finch joined 9 to noon yesterday, as he's wont to do in weekly fashion. And I think I need a new plan with our Finchy chats. Gonna have to start tagging every question with, hey, like Ayo Dosunmu is averaging 8 rebounds a game over the last 4 games, and you've been harping on him a little bit to rebound better. And then he answers, and then I got to be like, oh, yeah, by the way, is he playing tonight?
I always love that one.
I mean, holy cow. Making Ayo Dosunmu sound like a cross between Josh Giddey, Sam Cassell, and Tiny Archibald, and he scratches. Finchy, holy cow. Western Conference standings update, by the way, because everything's all congested and claustrophobic and hot and tight, and that's special.
It remains that.
The Lakers beat awful Indiana, and Denver beat Cooper Flagg's bunch. The Western Conference is quite entertaining right now. Joker, all right? Joker, Nikola Jokic. He went for 23 points, 21 rebounds, and 19 assists. Safe to say, big boy wants home court in the first round in the Mile Get High City, doesn't he?
And Jamal, just no big deal, just dropped 53 last night.
How about that? 53 for Jamal against a tenacious Najee Marshall, Cooper Flagg-led Dallas Mavericks team. Joker, it's all on the line.
It's all on the line.
23, 21, and 19 assists, just messing around.
How good would it be if we matched up both the Wild and the Wolves? First round series, the 5-4, Denver and Minnesota. Yeah. Somehow Dallas tracks down Colorado. Yeah. And we're going to the Mile High for the puck and the hardwood, round one of the respective playoffs. That'd be sweet.
Well, one of us is going to be wearing out the couch in the living room of my daughter's apartment in a neighborhood called Clarkson.
I always love that one.
Because we're going to be out there every day for all of that, doing drive-bys in the locker room in the Mile Get High City. That comeback, man, just still has everybody all wide-eyed. Now, the Western Conference, all right, so this thing is super special. The Celtics smacked OKC last night, and San Antonio has won 7 in a row. The San Antonio Spurs are hunting the top seed in the West.
Yeah.
And that's impressive. They're only 2 behind the champs. The Spurs are 3-1 versus OKC this season. San Antonio has won 7 in a row, and I have a grandiose prediction to make. San Antonio has won 7 consecutive games, and I predict they finish the season potentially winning 16 in a row or going 15-1 at worst. SGA free throw merchant, pay attention. They're coming! They're coming!
Above average at that.
Wemby might run the team that truly is the target at which to shoot in the entire NBA. But you know what? The Spurs didn't set an NBA record for the greatest overtime comeback in the history of the NBA. That honor goes to a Timberwolves team that finished with the deep bench mob. Like Terrence Shannon Jr. didn't play a minute during the game. He has to play in overtime. +9. Hey, go fighting Illini.
Well, how about just getting 30 minutes out of Mike Conley last night?
Jeez.
That's why that game felt like this season in a 2-hour presentation.
Yeah.
Where you had, my goodness, I love this cat, Ayo DeSumo. Oh, now he can't play. Mm-hmm. So the Knicks and the injuries and all of those things. We got guys losing their cool and getting ejected. We get to complain about Scott Foster, so the referees are in the mix.
Naz Reid thinking Scott Foster's fixing a game. Scott didn't want to hear that, so he got tossed. Hey!
Frustration of Rudy. There are moments where he's a defensive genius. There are other where he's a knucklehead. Okay, we got that. No Ant to be found. The defense is absolutely hideous that allows the Rockets to find that run to force overtime, so we're all negative on that. Then they start OT the way they did, and then the lockdown. The idea of these guys can play defense when they want to, when they need to. They do, and you get out with the victory. But, of course, Kevin Durant's going to go to the line. Of course he's going to get the foul, and he's going to find a bucket, and we're going to extend this thing. No chance Rockets don't get out alive with a W here, and he freaking misses one, man. It's the whole season in a 2-hour game.
History. Jaden McDaniels still has some significant atopic to him, specifically with his offense. And when Anthony Edwards returns this Saturday, which he could return this Saturday, yours truly is very curious to see what happens with old Jaden McDaniels, because he has been the best offensive player for this team without Anthony Edwards suiting up and playing games. Oh, by the way, the team is 4-1 over the last 5. So all we do is set history, make history. The Pistons are here Saturday afternoon, and sans the great Cade Cunningham. And we will see what our beloved Hal offers for an encore, a day Anthony Edwards quite possibly could return. This is just so much fun. We got to give you a Hal again. I mean, seriously. History. All right, here's the deal. We are 1 month from the NFL draft, and we tagged that hard today. Also, former Twins general manager Thad Levine joins during the final segment, and I promise you will dig that one. But we are going to call an audible. This is a listener-related audible, if you are so inclined. Now, next segment is, and will be scheduled as the NFL draft being a month from today, and we got a lot on our minds. So we got that, and it's written, and we're ready. However, things change up in the love covenant when you make history in overtime. Here we go, Paul! T-Wolves talkbacks next segment if you want. Free iHeart audio app, 30 seconds if you were in attendance. Tell us how it felt. I watched it from afar.
Little howl line.
And yeah, we got howling with these homies. By the way, if you got locked out of Target Center because you got pissed off and you left and you like banging like you were outside of the Alexandria compound in The Walking Dead and you couldn't get back in, did you go to Eating Limbs or did you just go home or did you listen to Alan Horton on FM 100.3 KFAN? But T-Wolves talkbacks next segment. If you are so inclined, if you're not, NFL draft a month from today, and we got plenty on that. Norder produces, and I'm Paul Allen. It's 9:18 in the Love Covenant. All good is in this hood. Hopefully you can say the same. This is 9 to noon at FM 100.3 KFAN, your history-making leader.
KFAN welcomes some great shows to the Mystic Amphitheater. The Guess Who will be there June 25th. John Mellencamp, July 14th. Guns N' Roses, August 8th. Get the complete details on all our upcoming shows via the concert page, KFAN.com. The keyword is calendar.
The NFL draft is a month from today, and when 9 to noon hears that, we have plenty about which we think, and much comes to mind. Like Dan Orlovsky of ESPN saying Alabama's Ty Simpson is the best quarterback in the upcoming NFL draft. But those topics have been left in the wake of a keen turn of speed by the history makers and the talkbacks to the free iHeart audio app near there.
Jimmy K, King of the Rubes here. What did I say a week ago? You got to relax and enjoy the season. If you're going to put the tail on, if you're going to put the wolf ears on, if you're going to put the foam finger on, if you're going to bring the howler, stay for the game. Don't lead. I know they went on a 24-2 run. Hey, but we had that 15-0 run coming just to smack them in the face. And question, are Kyle Anderson and Chris Finch related? I have never seen a coach love a player more than he loves him. I'm going to start calling him Kyle Finch.
I always love that one.
He'd be slow-mo Finchy. King of the Rubes ain't leaving.
No.
King of the Rubes, Jimmy Knutson and Jimmy K, he ain't leaving the spine tingler. He has this foam finger. He has this super special, like, wolf's horn from back in the KG days. The horn through which he used to cheer for Wally Zerbiak. He ain't leaving. He's not going to be banging on that door outside of Target Center looking to pick locks to get back in to be part of history.
He's there when the doors open, when the gates open. He's there. And he leaves as the custodial staff comes through sweeping popcorn out from in between the rows. He's got his lucky wolf's foot. He doesn't, rabbit's foot. More talkbacks here.
Wait.
Yes.
Meanwhile, with the NFL draft a month from today, I have it down to running back, defensive tackle, or cornerback in round one for the Minnesota Vikings. And the closer we get to the draft, the more I begin to hear how deep of a defensive tackle draft it truly is, and kind of from the under the cover of darkness, because a lot of people are talking about the tight ends. But that's left in the wake of a keen turn of howling speed, if only for now, because we're history makers. Teams trailing by 10 points or more in overtime over the last 30 years were 0-180. KD, Şengün, Hakeem Olajuwon, it's now 1-180.
I always love that one.
Oh, how about that victory last night? Granted, you could say you don't want to let it get to overtime, but proud of how the team came together and really played basketball as a team, hoping with Edwards' return, that they still have the same flow with being able to pass the ball and have multiple people involved, but excited to ramp up for the playoffs here, boys.
Minnesota, as in the Vikings and the football crowd, well, we might get the National Football League draft in 2028. Team president and co-owner Mark Wilf joins Tuesday from the owners' meetings. Likewise for Kevin O'Connell, I believe, and acting general manager, beloved Briz, Rob Brzezinski. The draft here in 2028. How much would people love that? They dig it, but it's not making history. It's not coming back from 13 down in OT. Talk back.
Fun win from the Wolves last night. But for some of us, it's everything that's wrong with NBA regular season basketball. Questionable officiating, lack of consistent effort, which is proven by when they wanted it, they locked them down in overtime, and load management. So as an old school guy, PA, help me understand how I should embrace modern day regular season NBA basketball.
It's easy, and it's a two-parter. First, it's your choice to follow, love, howl, or like whatever you want. And you having that choice is very important to 9 to noon. Secondly, if you want to watch hyperactive defense where they're slapping the floor, getting down in their sliding position and sliding with like the Darius A. Cups of the world, well, you have the NCAA tournament tonight.
I always love that one.
And maybe somebody will make history because history was made at Target Center last night.
Hello, my beautiful people. This is Max from Egan. I'm going to touch base on both of the talkback topics today. The Wolves are probably the most confusing team in the NBA. They look incredible, then they look terrible. And games like last night give me hope that we can do something great, but we'll probably turn around and do something terrible next game. So I'm not going to get my hopes up. For the draft, Vikings just need to take the best player available, get well-rounded, top-of-the-line athletes, and form them into the players we need. See you, bye.
Well, when they take Dante Corleone in round number 3, and he's a new age Casey Hampton and Vince Wilfork all in one, he's a fire hydrant, nobody can run against us, well, then we're going to be looking back at this conversation thinking about that how. We're going to be thinking about that how because history was made last night at Target Center. Now Saturday is Saturday, but it's 2 in a row for Fincho. 2 in a row for Fincho. That was nothing but fun last night, and it has triggered the vast and ever expanding and voluminous 9 to noon covenant to opt to talk back, and here they are.
To the ESPN announcer lady, talking about Kevin Durant passing Michael Jordan, coming up to Kobe Bryant, and then about Kevin Durantula being this and that, on fire, all this, and then clang! Misses the free throw. Jordan wouldn't have missed the free throw. Right. Kobe wouldn't have missed the free throw.
Yeah.
Too bad, KD. Go home.
Sam Cassell, Vernon Maxwell, Granville Waiters, Ralph Sampson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Lou Lloyd, and Jim Peterson. None of those former Rockets would have missed that free throw.
Oh, beautiful.
Durantula missed the free throw. Man, there are some really, really cool Timberwolves topics into which we will dive. Maybe a little bit low-key today, but certainly tomorrow during the football/front court feast. But to close this segment, Minnesota Wild, it's on you. And here's what we mean. Minnesota Wild, following in the history-making footsteps of the Minnesota Vikings and now the Minnesota Timberwolves, we respectfully say it's on you.
Let's play hockey!
I don't know what the largest deficit in the history of the NHL is in the third period. But just do it tonight against the back-to-back champs. I mean, Vikings 33-0, halftime against the Colts. Come out of halftime. All the Jimmy K's, Jimmy Knutson's, King of the Rubes of the world, who opted to stay, well, they're at U.S. Bank Stadium saying, defense. They're still believing it. And then we go 3 and out to start the second half.
You gotta be raping me.
Then the comeback. Don't call it a comeback. Vikings never been gone. made National Football League history with that comeback. Timberwolves, NBA history with that comeback last night. So Barkov, Marchand, if you're playing, and the great Matthew Tkachuk, Bobrovsky by his side. Be warned.
It's time to drop the puck.
Go ahead and lead us 7-1 in the third period tonight. Watch those 7 goals just blow by you like you're tied to a post.
That's right where we want you.
NHL history is what we do. All right.
Regular season comebacks.
The cock has crowed. NFL draft savant John Harris next. Hey, alrighty now, welcome back. So that's what 9 to noon thinks when we ponder the NFL draft a month away from today. Now, our friend John Harris of footballtakeover.com and the Houston Texans radio network, he thinks different things, and he joins us now. Once again, John is the Houston Texans radio network sideline analyst by day and footballtakeover.com savant by night. And here comes Johnny. Let's learn what some of those things are. John, thanks for helping the radio show, and let's just paint with a broad brush here. What excites you about this year's draft? And good morning, my brother.
Good morning, my friend. It's interesting. This is a draft that if you need a quarterback, this isn't that draft. And you know how drafts are, Paul. When quarterbacks are involved, it's sexy. There are a lot of good talking points. Dan Orlovsky's trying to drum up some of that, saying Ty Simpson's better than Fernando Mendoza. But it's just really not working. This, to me, is kind of a nuts and bolts draft. This is meat and potatoes. This is in the trenches. This is really good interior on both sides. This is really good edge rushers. But it's not really sexy in a lot of other places. Wide receiver, it's good. It's deep. Tight end, it's really good. But it's just the sexy positions of quarterbacks, running backs. Although I think Jeremiah Love is tremendous, there just isn't a lot of depth at that position that I think could come in and step in and be impactful in 2026 and early in those running back careers. So I feel like if you need interior offensive line, it's a good draft. If you need edge rushers, it's a good draft for you. But if you're looking for running backs and you have other needs, oh man, it's going to get a little dicey. If you need wide receivers, there are a lot of flavors of the month, if you will, but maybe not that Malik Neighbors or that Justin Jefferson that the Vikings obviously were able to get in a draft at number 20 or 21 many years ago. So it's not that sexy kind of draft, but it's meat and potatoes. And if you like your proteins and you like some good mashed potatoes, this one's for you.
9 to noon happens to be infatuated with meat and potatoes, but you hit on the current NFL draft A topic, and it is that well-respected ESPN football analyst Dan Orlovsky is saying, and saying rather loudly, that Alabama's Ty Simpson is a better quarterback than Fernando Mendoza when it comes to translating to the National Football League. You kind of whisked it away. So why is that? And do you not think it's a comparison?
No, I think Fernando Mendoza is the better quarterback at this point. But here's the thing. When we start comparing players, I don't like when somebody tears down a player to prove his point about the player he's saying is better. If you're going to tell me Ty Simpson's better, tell me the things Ty Simpson does. Yeah. And I think Ty Simpson, throughout the 2025 year, there were some throws, especially early in the season, Paul, that took my breath away. I mean, there was one throw, I think it was against Georgia, that he threw on a sideline, and I'm like, wow. I don't know that many quarterbacks in college football, much less the NFL, can make that kind of throw. I think Ty Simpson's tough. He's a coach's kid. He's got, I think, the ability to overcome adversity. But I can't make a case for him in the first round. Fernando Mendoza, when I think about projecting him forward, I think about putting him in Clint Kubiak's offense out in Las Vegas. And to me, that matters. I think he throws well in the run. I think Fernando Mendoza is tough as a $2 steak, and I think that I want him in my locker room as a leader, and I think the intangibles have to matter for a quarterback. How many times have we seen the Greek gods at quarterback rise up and they throw it 75 yards at a pro day, but they don't have the intangibles? And I'm looking at Anthony Richardson for that reason. But I think Fernando Mendoza has tools, and there are things maybe he didn't do in Indiana. He wasn't asked to do some of those things. Indiana played a different style of ball, but I think in Kubiak's offense, I think he can be a gassed-up Matt Schaub, who was very successful in that offense in Houston when he was playing for Kyle Shanahan and then Gary Kubiak. So I think Fernando Mendoza can be that kind of guy, and I think the Raiders have to have a rock-solid leader. So to me, it's a fit, probably more so than this guy's better than that guy. I just think even as much as I think Fernando Mendoza is going to come into the league and do good things right away, if you need a quarterback in this draft, Paul, I don't want any of them. I'm building with the guys in 2027, and you know me, I'm always looking ahead. That draft in 2027 can have some rock stars at quarterback, and I don't know that I want to waste a pick in 2026 on a guy that I'm trying to shoehorn into that position when I know there are some studs coming in 2027 if I can just hang on and get one of those guys.
NFL draft a month from today, and our guy John Harris with footballtakeover.com is just preaching right now, man. That was really good. And by the way, at footballtakeover.com, we're going to have a new mock draft next week, which will be 3 weeks and change from the draft, and yours truly happens to be quite excited about that. And speaking of footballtakeover.com, you, John, the creator and owner of footballtakeover.com, you placed an NFL comp of Trey McBride, the Arizona tight end, on Oregon tight end Kenyon Sadiq. Why?
I think it's hard to find somebody that compares to Sadiq. He's 6'3", 240. He blocks his guts out. And that's one of the things to me, Paul, that separates this tight end group. This group is deep. I mean, deep. You could probably go 20 to 22 deep that are going to get drafted. But they're all pretty similar, other than Sadiq and Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt. Sadiq is built like a Greek god. He's probably got about 2% body fat, which you don't find that in many places. And when I was at the Senior Bowl, it's funny, I was standing there watching the tight ends with a couple of scouts, and both of them, throughout my time talking to them, they were like, oh, these guys look good, but they're not like Sadiq. They're not like that guy at Oregon. And so it's well known what that guy can do. And at 4.39 in the 40-yard dash, he probably walks into a building as the fastest pass catcher you're going to have. Now, I don't think Trey McBride is quite that fast, but when I think about play style, when I think about the effort and the willingness to block in split zone situations, to pass protect when needed, that's what I see in Sadiq. But I also see a guy that in due time will become as effective in the passing game because of that speed, because of his athletic ability, like Trey McBride. I think Sadiq can be that kind of guy. And so when it came down to, man, who do I comp him to, it was hard. It was really hard because Sadiq can play all the different tight end spots. He can play fullback. He can play H-back. He can line up in line because he'll battle in the run game. A lot of these tight ends in this class won't. Sadiq will. And that reminded me a lot of McBride. Seeing him up close, being down on the sidelines, McBride emotes. He's very emotional. He runs hard every time he catches the ball. Like, he plays the game like it's his last. You know, the old saying goes, play the game like it's your last. He does. And I feel like Sadiq's got that same quality, that he's going to play the game. He's going to be a big-time seam threat. I hope that he falls to 28, and it would be a fall. I would be shocked if Sadiq fell to 28. But if he did for the Texans, we really kind of with free agency have done some things that we can kind of open ourselves up to best player available. If Kenyon Sadiq is there, I run the ticket up. I want Kenyon Sadiq in Houston for us. But I know that it's probably not going to happen because there are a lot of teams that want an athlete like that in their passing game for sure.
All right, John. Well, in theory, with Kenyon Sadiq, the Oregon tight end, in theory, if he's like 90% as effective and alters defensive plans the way Trey McBride does, or off everything you just explained, I mean, he should be at worst a top 18, 15 pick, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I'm hoping somebody leaks something before the draft and he falls. You know how that goes, Paul. Somebody in the media leaks something, from an NFL team and leaks something. Oh, Kenyon Sneak ends up at 28. That's kind of what I'm hoping. But, he's a top 15 player in my eyes. In fact, in my mock draft, I think he'll probably somewhere go top 12. But again, sometimes teams get cute. Like, maybe we'll trade down and we'll get him here. No, he's a top 12 player. When my Harris 100 comes out, I think he's going to be in the top 12 for sure.
Yeah, so what you're saying is like, as the top 3, 4, 5 picks are rolling a month from today in round 1, John Harris, if Kenyon Sadiq happened to show up on some kind of video from 2 years ago wearing a gas mask, you might not be that mad because you're like, hey, we can fix that gas mask thing. Just get him down here to 28, man. That'd be sweet for the Texans. And sounds like Kenyon Sadiq's going to be a terrific player. Now, in what ways? So think Minnesota Vikings, all right? In what ways would Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love help the Vikings already possessing speedsters like Kyler Murray, Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison? What do you think about that?
Paul, I swear to you, I just got shivers when you said that. When you talked about the explosiveness of that group, and then to think Jeremiah Love is now added to that group. I mean, what offensive coach would screw that up? That would be incredible. Now, there obviously would have to be some movement to go get him. Now, we've seen some weird things in the past where Randy Moss fell to the Minnesota Vikings. And look, Randy Moss had some past dealings that got him in trouble, and some teams backed away. They weren't sure about that. And Randy Moss obviously fell into the Vikings' lap and turned out to be a Hall of Famer. That's not going to happen with Jeremiah Love from that standpoint. But there might be some teams that say, hey, a running back, can you draft a running back this high? That's the thing. I think people that think that way, I'm never going to draft a running back that high. You have to look at the players that make defenses scared, basically. What keeps a defensive coordinator up at night? Well, recite those names: Kyler Murray, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, and Jeremiah Love. That would keep people up at night. And that, to me, is what I think will force teams not to pass on Jeremiah Love. Now, you got to try and balance, I guess, out with what needs you have. But if you're looking for a ball carrier, an offensive weapon to put the most heat on defenses in 2026, that is Jeremiah Love, no doubt.
Jeez.
But if he gets to the Vikings at 18,
come on,
I'm going to be mad that we don't trade up to go get him at 18. I'd love to have him here in Houston.
You're awesome, man. Hey, Minnesota might be in the market for a third receiver. In fact, quite possibly. And, I'm not looking at the draft here. Let me ask you the question on this. Christian Kirk went to the 49ers on a cheapish deal. Now, his best friend is Kyler Murray. I mean, they played together in college and they played together in Arizona, and they're dogs. You had Kirk in Houston. Is that something that should have happened here for a cheapish deal, for the speed that is Christian Kirk and the relationship with Kyler Murray? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I thought Christian Kirk would have been a great fit in Minnesota. Tremendous. I think he would have filled any sort of gap with Jordan Jefferson and Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson on the outside. Man, Christian works the inside. Oh, that's a really good fit.
Oh, geez.
Now that I think about it, it's probably a better fit in Minnesota than it is in San Francisco, especially given the fact that he knows Kyler the way that he does. Now, Christian's also an injury liability.
Oh.
There were times this year that Christian was banged up and not able to go when we really needed him. First couple of games of the year, middle games of the year, we really needed him. Now, he showed up in that Pittsburgh game in a big way in the playoffs, but then in the game against the Patriots, there wasn't a lot there. So is he really on the backslide? Is he on the backside? That's one thing. But if he's on the backslide, that's another. I just felt like Minnesota, and I know you're not going to pay the money that Jalen was going to get from the Raiders, but I just felt like Naylor was the perfect guy.
Yeah.
I feel like in this draft, Paul, and I know that's not the way you really want to look, but I feel like there are day 3 possibilities that could end up being really, even day 2 possibilities, end up being really good fits for Minnesota. I like Zachariah Branch from out of Georgia, played at USC to start his career. He's a Bishop Gorman kid out of Nevada, and he is even quicker than Kirk. But again, rookies trying to learn that inside slot stuff, that is tough. I saw it with Jalen Noel last year. That's hard. They really have an issue with it, trying to learn everything that's asked of them. But if you get the right guy, I think you can find some of those gems a little bit later in the draft.
Yeah.
Even a guy like Tyron Montgomery from John Carroll. I saw this guy at the Senior Bowl, and he put on a show, and he didn't get an invite to the Combine, which I was shocked. And this guy can absolutely play, D3 guy. We saw it with Cecil Shorts here in Jacksonville and in Houston.
Yeah.
He's a good friend of mine. He played at Mount Union. That's the perfect kind of guy. I think Tyron Montgomery in the late rounds might be a guy that Minnesota could look at. But, yeah, I do think that having Christian Kirk, if healthy, would have been a really good fit with Kyler Murray there in Minnesota.
Johnny Harris, footballtakeover.com, getting in the weeds with that deep dive in the John Carroll, which gave the NFL one of the great tacklers in the history of the game, in London Fletcher. That was beautifully, beautifully dropped. All right, just a few to close here for footballtakeover.com. LSU cornerback Mansour Delane. Is that the best true man corner? Go ahead and put him on an island. Is that the best man corner in the draft? And could he be available close to 18, or is that a stretch?
I think after he ran 4.38 or whatever it was at his pro day, I think he probably locked up a top 10, top 12 spot.
Yeah.
Paul, yes, he is. He's CB1. It's not even close. I watched him at Virginia Tech when I saw that he had transferred. So I was like, I want to see what this guy looks like when I was doing my summer work on these guys. And I saw him at Virginia Tech and thought, man, LSU got a good one. And then he was even better at LSU than I even thought he was going to be. He is, without a doubt, the best corner in the draft. But I do think corner there's some dudes. You can take any of the corners from Tennessee. I think they can all play. Colton Hood, I compare it to former LSU cornerback Tre'Davious White. They kind of look similar, play similar. Brandon Cease from out of South Carolina, transfer from NC State, is a hell of a player. So I think there are some corners. I think 18 is a decent spot for maybe one of those guys. And then there's Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee, who might be right there with Delane, but he missed all of 2025. So the medicals, okay, question mark, but I don't think Delane gets near 18. I think he's going to end up being a top 12 guy in this draft.
Time for two more. Johnny Harris, footballtakeover.com. Cincinnati defensive tackle Dante Corleone, 340 pounds, true nose tackle who's quick. I've been told that he pondered last year's draft, and staying in college has helped him tremendously into this year's draft. If the Vikings like him, Cincinnati defensive tackle Dante Corleone, and I kind of hope they do. Can you wait till like the late third round, like pick 82, to get this defensive tackle? And what do you think of his game?
That is right on, Paul. That's probably about where I have Corleone in my Harris 100. I think that's probably right there. But here's what I want, Paul. I want Dante Corleone to end up in Minnesota, because when he has a sack, I want Paul Allen,
come on, man,
the voice of the Minnesota Vikings, to scream out the Godfather with the sack. I mean, you got to. It's his nickname. So I hope that he gets to Minnesota. But that's the thing. He's really a run stuffer. I mean, he's going to play over the nose. He's going to control any center that he plays against, because he is strong as an ox. He's built like a brick outhouse. You can't move him, even with double teams. And I saw that impact many, many years ago in Houston. We had Vince Wilfork and DJ Reader together. You couldn't run at us. I mean, that was like 700 pounds, and you could double and triple team, and he just didn't move him. That's Corleone. He's not going to be a great pass rush guy, but he is quick. I think he can learn to get better in the pass rush. He's so darn powerful. The strength, it kind of takes your breath away. But I do think there are a few guys like that. Dominique Orange from out of Iowa State, he plays that way. Tim Keenan from Alabama, kind of the same thing. You're not going to move those guys. They are broad, strong, leverage. I mean, they're a little bit shorter, and I always like shorter defensive linemen are big and strong. You absolutely are not going to move them. I think Corleone and that defense helped the run game, first, second down, get him off the field, let Brian Flores create whatever he's going to create with their pass rush packages, and you can take him off the field on third down until he gets to a point where he can stay on the field, prove he's a better pass rusher, and that's what DJ Reader did. DJ was a run stuffer the first few years. Then his pass rush game got a little better, and as he got better doing that, he got paid, moved on to the Bengals, moved on to the Lions, and he's made a lot of money because he improved his pass rush abilities. I think Corleone would have to do that, but he is a rock star first and second down to start his career and then build from there.
All right, Johnny, 1 minute, maybe a minute 15, you get it all. And I want you to channel your inner Texan here. Now, John runs footballtakeover.com, but he's also the Houston Texans sideline analyst and has been for many, many years. Channel your inner Texan here, Johnny. Minnesota won a lot of games up here and had some really good offense with Ed Ingram starting at right guard. Now, when he was traded, nobody cared, because of the visuals they would see of mistakes and stuff like that, like one play from 70 during a game. Now he starts them all for your Texans. And 2 weeks ago, he got a 3-year, $37 million deal. What do you think of Ed Ingram? Because clearly the Texans like him.
They absolutely like him. And I think for players in this league, sometimes just the change of scenery, the change of, hearing a play call that's different, or just the amount of run plays that a team has, an offense does, the gap scheme versus zone scheme, all of that can be different for a guy. Ed came here with no expectations, and he played like it. He played like it was kind of house money, and he just played. He didn't worry about, what the media was saying. He didn't worry about, what people were saying about the Texans, about him. It's just he went out and played, and then was like, wait a second, he kind of fits what we want to do. We want to move people off the ball. We want to be more of a gap scheme. We want to hit people in the mouth, and that seemed to really kind of stoke the fire in Ed. And look, he's got some pass protection things he's got to work on. He's still got to be a little bit better that way. Jeffrey Simmons kind of gave him the what for when we faced the Titans. But what we had at guard was nothing compared to what Ed gave us. And he's back in Texas. He told us that many times on radio. He's so happy to be back in Texas. And when he signed, it was kind of a surprise because we thought he had sort of played his way out of the money. And then when we signed, we're like, whoa, this is okay. Well, let's take it. But there's always that he did it for a year. Can he continue it? And he's got to. I mean, for our offensive line, that was not very good. Ed was great, and our guy, Ariante Ursery, was great. Yeah. Everybody else was okay. So Ed's got to be even better. And now the expectation, because of the money, are a lot higher for him, but I think he's gonna rise to the occasion, continue to play well. I think, Paul, he just needed a change of scenery and probably a change in everything. And I think being back in Texas really helped him, stoked his fire, and he played really, really well for us, and we're glad that we have him.
Johnny Harris, NFL draft savant, footballtakeover.com.